It's a day of returns at Carrow Road today for domestic football, first and foremost, which we're all delighted to be back after an international break, but also, perhaps more importantly, for Daniel Farke. He brings his Leeds United team to Carrow Road today. As you will all be acutely aware, the build-up has been dominated by it, and Norwich obviously will attempt to ensure that his return is not a happy one. We're going to be bringing you the team news in a couple of minutes' time. I'm joined by Paddy. Paddy, before we get to that team news, we're a couple of minutes away or so. How are you feeling ahead of this one? Which I've spoken to probably about half a dozen Norwich fans this morning. I'm not sure I got anyone who predicted anything other than a Norwich defeat.
Yeah, ditto. I walked into the ground about 25 minutes, was stopped by a very nice couple in their car who recognised me. And
big time, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, we'll gloss over that part of the story. As I said, is that when you shout at these type of screens, what are them two clowns talking about? They don't know what they're talking about. But anyway, I digress. And both of them said, how do you think it'll go today? And they were of the opinion that Leeds in forward areas will have too much for Norwich. And there may be goals, but Norwich probably fall the wrong side of it. And that's probably where I'm at, if I'm honest, Connor. I don't know where you feel in it, but you just starting to, and we'll get confirmation, but you look at the attacking armoury they've got. And against Norwich's defence at the moment, that's a concern. So, yeah, and I think the type of game it'll be is Leeds will dominate a lot of the ball, and if Norwich aren't good enough in transition, as they haven't been in recent weeks, then they'll get beat. So it's all there for them today. You think Sainz might start? We'll find out very soon, but that would be a very positive signal if so.
Yes, and we're about a minute away or so from finding out. Obviously, it was quite well. He made some changes against Coventry, and we wait to see if any more are forthcoming. In about a minute or so. We've already seen Sam Byram, which has been lost a little bit, but he's also returning to Carrow Road today, having left Norwich City earlier on in the summer at the end of his deal, signed for Leeds United, and he will return. And of course, all of Daniel Farke's backroom team as well. Here we go then. Here is the Norwich City team. Gunn in goal, Stacey, Duffy, Gibson and Yanulis as the back four. Sarah and Kenny McLean and Liam Gibbs, it looks like, as a midfield three, although we have seen Liam Gibbs put forward with Rowe and Hernandez on either flank. Adam Ida leads the line for Norwich City. So Gunn in goal, Stacey, Duffy, Gibson and Yanulis the back four. Sarah and McLean the midfield two, if he goes that route. Rowe and Hernandez on the flanks with Gibbs and Adam Ida. Gibbs in support of Adam Ida. Norwich's bench, Long, Fisher, Bart, Forshaw, Poeta, Borja Sainz, Christian Fashnak, Tony Springett and Huang Yu-Zhou. Paddy Davitt, thoughts, feelings?
Well, I mean, we'll have to see how the Sarah and Liam Gibbs scenario plays out, because I think that holds the key.
It is lined up as a midfield three on these team graphics, but how much you can read into that, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, that would... And so what would be ahead of that? Be Rowe and Hernandez pretty advanced there?
Yeah, well, it's a 4-3-3 essentially, wouldn't it, I suppose.
Which, if it is as the game we think it will be, Norwich need to be good in transition, commit bodies forward, high up the pitch, then that would lend itself to that sort of system. Sarah McLean Gibbs, lot to like in terms of the individual elements of that. It's just how it comes together, because I don't think if it's a three, that'll be the first time this season we've seen that. Maybe a recognition of David Wagner paying respect to this Leeds operation and what they can offer. I mean, I presume you've got their line up there, Connor, but Ampadu and Kamara.
Are you ready? Shall I read it to you? The last four names are pretty terrifying. Here it is, actually, in a beautiful shade of yellow. Meslier in goal. Archie Gray, who's been getting rave reviews at right back. Rodon Stroyek and Sam Byram, who operates the left back for Leeds. Ampadu and Glenn Kamara, the two midfielders. And look at that for a front four. Dan James and Somerville with Perot in support of Jorginho Oruta. And their bench is Darlow, Ayling, Shackleton, Cooper, Gruev, Piveda, Anthony Anotto and Patrick Bamford. And as you said, Paddy, that's a pretty terrifying prospect from an attacking perspective.
I don't know if this sums up the mood. Where are we? Billy's not overly confident with that lineup.
Are you surprised? Because I think where my head was at was if he was going to go for a flatter three, I guess, or for that midfield two, that we may see Adam Forshaw alongside Kenny McLean just to try and have kind of a shoring up of the midfield, I suppose, for today.
Well, I mean, if it is, we caveat everything with, we don't know for definite, but if it is a change of shape, then that isn't matching up Leeds. So it's kind of what areas of the pitch did Norwich and Wagner and his coaches think they may get some numerical advantage, and it feels like if it is a three, either side of Hernandez, either in the middle, but I feel they're good across the central areas, which is where McLean and Zara and Gibbs come in, that they can release the likes Hernandez at pace, and obviously Adam Eder, but it does feel that limits Gabby Zara's influence today in terms of an attacking option. But in the overall scheme of what they're trying to do, if it gets the result, fair enough. But concerns inevitably again that unchanged back four. Certainly the two centre backs, Duffy less so, but the names you've reeled off there, that's as good as any in terms of a front four in the Championship, and they will be tested. And it's, can they stand up to that test? Very concerning. They're dragged into areas they don't want to be in. That lack of pace and mobility, they're going to get exposed. So huge importance on McLean and Zara and getting some parity in that middle of the pitch, because that will ultimately tilt which way this game flows. Is it towards Leeds' goal? Is it more towards Angus Gunn? But Hernandez, not sure what he merits to come back in again. You said science. He hasn't gone science. I understand from a fitness point of view, but let's be bold. Let's throw him in. Let's throw him in from the start today.
Even if he's got 60 in
what's
him,
the point? What's the point at 60 and you're 2 or 3-0 down? Throwing him on then. Whereas he might blow up after 45, after 60, but he may have had an positive impact in terms of shaping the game in Norwich's favour. So for me, I don't really share where he's gone with that in terms of Hernandez and no science, because it's rapidly getting to the point where something needs to change in terms of David Wagner and this group of players and this current form line. And Leeds, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, hellishly difficult week ahead, and they need to get off to a good start today.
They do. It is interesting throwing Hernandez in. He has made quite a few changes in those wide areas. It was interesting at the press conference yesterday. He highlighted the options they now have in wide areas. Hernandez, I think by his own admission, I think he's released some YouTube videos this week which people can go and watch. I think he's kind of thank you very much. He's kind of said that his levels maybe haven't been where he would like them to be. Maybe even his fitness hasn't been quite where he would like it to be. So, and that, directly speaking about the science element of it, if that's a fitness decision and you're playing one winger who's kind of admitted that maybe his cardio fitness isn't where you want it to be, do you lose anything then by giving them a half each? Or maybe he will do that, I'm not sure, but that's a curious one. But it's going to be really interesting. I mean, beyond science, Plaid, is there anyone that you're surprised hasn't got a start? I guess Adam Forshaw, as I said, maybe the one that I mentioned. Christian Fashnacht, I think there was some calls for him to return. Any other changes that maybe you would have made that haven't been made today?
Well, I mean, I don't want to harp on about the central defence, but what has he got there? He's got Danny Bart, Tony Warner, Jaden Warner, sorry, isn't so far pushing himself into that first team starting 11 conversation. He's not even on the bench today, is he? So you can see the point that it's much of a muchness if you take one of Duffy or Gibson out and put Bart in, but it's more the signal it sends, the fact that, the last game, Coventry, prior to the international break, for 85 odd minutes, them two were very good that day and answered a lot of their critics, but another error, another individual error. We've seen too many of them starting right back here, first day of the season. Hull's goal towards a Barkley, sourced by an error from Duffy and compounded by Gibson. So there's a pattern there. They need to break that pattern, because with that front four from Leeds today, they are going to get tested. And I just fear that if they get exposed and bang bang and we're behind the 8 ball again, then that's another game that slips by where they haven't looked secure enough. And it isn't just let's dig out the centre backs. It's the back four as a whole. It's the midfielders in front of them.
Do you want some statistics? Norwich, whether you subscribe to expected goals or not, Norwich have the fourth highest expected goals against. They're down there with the likes of QPR, off the top of my head, Blackburn as well. They're also on average conceding 15 shots a game. They conceded 20 in their last 2 away games, which, for as much as maybe people want to have a conversation about the centre-backs, is there a conversation to be had about the structure of it and the lack of protection that those two get?
All day long. I mean, executed the game ban at Coventry. Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's, and this is Coventry fan talking here. Give Coventry 25 minutes pounding your goal. If that's executing the game plan, and I know it took an 87th minute, 88th minute Ben Gibson Rick, but so passive in their approach and their outlook. Same at Swansea. That game a few days earlier, when they got back on level terms after another soft concession, midway through the second half, go on and win it. They were in control to a degree, and again, passive, retreat, home pressure. Inevitably, you're going to get home pressure, and they caved in again. So, it's not about so much personnel for me. It's what are they trying to do out of possession? And of course, it all swings back round again. It's not an excuse, but no Barnes, no Sargent out of possession is massive for this group of players because, let's be honest, Adamida, Wang, they don't offer the same protection, the same shape, the same press from the front. And if he doesn't find a solution before those two are back, and they're not going to be back anytime soon, then you fear it'll be more passivity. And unfortunately, if they do that against this Leeds team, you fear with the front four they've got, they're going to get punished and get exposed. So they really need to be on the front foot today. And to be honest, if it is a 4-3-3 and he's gone very aggressive in terms of he wants to be playing the game in the top end of the pitch and good on transition, then that is a bold sort of outlook. But they need to execute that, and what we don't need is
Well, my fear is we're going to see more sort of the containment approach that we saw at Coventry.
But against this front four, far better than Coventry's attacking players. Let's be honest. So unless Angus Gunn has a worldie, I think that approach, if it is similar to Coventry, is going to be doomed to failure.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's be negative.
Well, and I can't wait to hear your score prediction. It's going to be good. Let's speak about Daniel Farke then. So much has been said, written. He said a lot. David Wagner kind of said a lot yesterday as well. It's been a lot made about the reception, which I don't really get because I'd be amazed if he didn't get some sort of reception from the home fans, and rightly so. What do you think's running through his at this moment in time, coming back to Carrow Road, coming back to this place? So many good memories. He'll be absolutely desperate to beat Norwich today, won't he?
All day long. Yeah, I mean, he played it as he would do, but and knowing him well enough, he'll have been thinking about that pre-match press conference for quite a while, the messages he wanted to send both to his own team and fans, but also the Norwich end as well. And it was very disarming, the way he talked about no hard feelings and special memories and the trust they bestowed on him, and real fondness still and affection, and we know that because how could you not? Even the way it ended, but what went before was, when it was good, it was special. So it must be quite a difficult game for him and Domigola and Rima and maybe Ed Wootton to an extent today. But they will want one thing and one thing only, and that's a Leeds win today, and then deal with the emotional element of it thereafter. But I don't quite buy it. It's the same as any other game, as he was also trying to say at his presser on Thursday. It isn't the same as any other game. This is big subplot about him coming back here, and I mean, for me, he'll get the reception he should deserve pre-game. Then it should be all about these fans rowing firmly behind their team, putting one over on him, and then you can pick up the mutual appreciation at the final whistle, can't you?
Yeah, agreed, and they're going to need it today, I think, in terms of that support. Let's come to it then, Paddy, and how you see this
Mark's
game going. He stole my prediction, I think. How do you see it going, Pad? I know we're going to score a goal. Let's try and
score a goal.
Yeah, let's go with that.
That's a low bar we're starting on today.
Could being underdogs today help them? Because they probably are, and we kind of listed individually there. You take gauge of social media as well. There's not a lot of optimism about. Sometimes, particularly with the David Wagner team, being an underdog can be useful, can be beneficial.
And if I'm honest, what's popped into my head here is Leicester here midweek a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, they got beat 2-0, but they go back to what we said earlier. They had a go. There wasn't the passive approach that was displayed for me at Swansea and at Coventry. They actually, and that was, Barnes got injured in that game, so they effectively second half, particularly, they were without Barnes and Sargent, but they were really positive that the game was played in and around the Leicester area for a good 20-25 minutes, and but for one or two excellent saves from Leicester and not the best finishing, then Norwich, against, for me, the benchmark standout team in this division, could have got something that night. So there is that in this group of players, even without Barnes and Sargent. But because we're discussing it off the back of one win in 6 and very anemic performances, it's hard to see how that gets turned around in the space of 2 weeks and no real time to work with most of the players. So, prediction, I think Leeds win the game, but if it was a 2-1er and Norwich have had a real go and it looked different to how it felt against Coventry and Swansea, then that's something you can cling to and take on into the rest of this week. But it's hard to construct an argument based on everything we see in both camps at the moment, really, to feel that Norwich are feasibly going to be able to win this game. But who knows? Like I say, if we get less the second half, there's something here for them. Yeah, absolutely. Because, I know it was only one defeat in the last 9 for Leeds, but that was Southampton, and they were well beaten that day. So, they're not an invincible outfit by any manner of means, and it's still going to take time for Farke to get these to where he wants them to get to. So, they're not, I don't think, in the bracket of Leicester for me so far this season. So certainly nothing to fear, but Norwich will have to be far more willing to put their foot forward rather than retreat towards Angus Gunn's goal. Because if they do, there's only one outcome for me. You, Connor?
Yeah, I agree. I hope it is what you painted there, and it is a really. And I'm focusing more on performance here. I think that's probably where a lot of the focus will be on today. If Norwich can get that performance right, they can apply themselves in the way they did against Leicester, show a bit more quality in goal. Then, who knows? There's a possibility of a result here. The Championship is a really funny league. We all know how it works. So there is that possibility. It feels to me like they're going to need a lot of things to go in their favour. You're relying on a lot of Leeds players having off days. You're relying on a lot of Norwich players having on days, and that will ultimately decide the sway of this, I think. So, I'm going to go for a 2-1 defeat, I think. But I know, but I'm rowing in behind you. I could see it being a little bit more uncomfortable than that. But let's hope that's not the case as the Leeds goalkeepers emerge to warm up. One thing I did want to raise at the end of this, if you come into Carrow Road today, there's going to be an applause. Some supporters have tried to arrange in the 29th minute for Norwich fan Jordan Murrell, who passed away, I think, over the international break. So 29th minute, if you're attending today, join in with that one. I think there's a minute's silence before kick-off as well, due to the ongoing situation in Israel and Palestine as well. I don't think there's any public service announcements beyond those two to get into. So Pinkin.com, the place to go for pre, during, post-match. Pinkin Plus app as well. Everything will be over there. And let's see how this game will transpire. An interesting afternoon awaits. Thank you very much for watching.